Hey, well, World Entertainment. And you remember when Disney announced that they were going to do a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, and then seemingly it got cancelled because they just couldn't get it off the ground and they couldn't get the writers and stuff, which was ridiculous anyway, when it was the case of all you had to do was pretty much put a new coat of paint on it and that was it. You didn't have to actually remake the game. Remember, it was meant to be cancelled. Well, the news now is the remake is still in production. And not just is the remake still in production, but a KOTOR 2 is also set to be coming. So we're going to dive into this because there's a lot of people very much against this idea of them remaking Knights of the Old Republic. Remember, they cannot get these Star Wars games off the ground. Even this new game that they've announced, Fate of the Old Republic, which everyone looked at and said, that looks like it was probably meant to have been part of the Knights of the Old Republic remake, but they changed it and changed the name. That thing is said not to actually be coming out until at least 2030. That's right, you heard me correctly there. 2030 is when they're talking about that game actually coming out, if it actually ever comes out, because this wouldn't be the first time they've showcased the game and have not released it. But let's dive into this. So with all the recent talk since the announcement of Fate of the Old Republic, many are wondering what's going on with the previously announced Knights of the Old Republic remake game. According to recent court documents, it appears Lucasfilm's troubled KOTOR remake is still in active development despite its long silence. Records also reveal that a restoration of the game's beloved sequel could be waiting in the wings as well. These findings come from a recent GameFile report which highlights court documents from a lawsuit filed by fans against Asprey, or however you pronounce it, and Lucasfilm, the companies who made the game. By the way, I did forget, there was a KOTOR 2, wasn't there? Yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic already had a sequel. I'm pretty sure the sequel wasn't as well received as the first one, so it sounds like they'd be remaking the sequel as well. Oh, stupid. So when KOTOR 2 was revealed to be coming to Switch, a restored content DLC was also promised to release alongside it. This DLC, which many view as absolutely necessary, was never released, however. Buyers said they regretted their purchase and never would have avoided the game entirely if the DLC were never promised. Some even said they wouldn't even play the game despite having already spent their money. This bonus content wasn't a simple addition, however, and had actually involved numerous individual creators and larger studios. Due to concerns around crediting these numerous parties, the report alleges that Disney's legal team killed the project. So just keep that in mind there, what you've just heard. Just because they would have had to credit these other people, they killed the project. They're like, nope, we're not giving other people credit. Wow. So the court documents contain a massive bounty of internal Slack messages, emails, and Jira entries. I have no idea what the Slack or Jira is. So the communications allegedly came from a wide range of sources, from independent modders to Lucasfilm Games. It's clear that this was a hefty undertaking and Aspire was stuck in the middle of it. I think I called it Asprey or something earlier. It's Aspire. For Old Republic fans though, this could reveal some slight payoffs after several years of tumult. Michael Crape of IGN, highlighted a portion of the disposition which pertains to the mysterious Project Juliet. In this excerpt, attorney Ray Kim pressed Lucasfilm Games Vice President Douglas Riley for details. Juliet was the codename for a project where we were going to do a full remake of KOTOR 2 with modern art, modern gameplay, keep the story and the characters and the general content of KOTOR 2, but remake it for a modern hardware and modern machines with updated graphics and all those kind of things. it was something we were discussing with Aspire. Later, the VP commented on the missing restored content mod and how that impacts the remake. The plan was we would remake the content that was in the RCM as it relates to Star Wars at that Juliet project. According to these same records, Juliet and the KOTOR Remake are both under new management. And it goes on because it's all this case and stuff. But it's through a court filing that they've discovered, oh, this project apparently is still in development. Why at this stage? Look, it's probably never going to actually happen. Still being in production literally means nothing. It could just be someone's writing something. It doesn't mean they're actively right now working all hands on deck on creating the game. And the fact that they're talking about KOTOR 2 is also meant to be coming when they apparently released that on, what was it, the Nintendo Switch, and did not release the DLC that was promised to go along with it, and it pissed people off. And it's like, what is going on? Why can they not fix these games? I think it's funny as well that they're calling it Lucasfilm Games, because they got rid of LucasArt, which was so stupid because they were doing some of the greatest games for Star Wars, and Disney take over Lucasfilm. The first thing they did was they scrapped LucasArt because they were like, oh, we're going to make it ourselves, and then they were handing it out to other developers, and none of these games ended up coming to function. We're already seeing people lose their mind over this Fate of the Old Republic because a lightsaber lit up at the very end of the trailer, because until that happened, you were like, what the hell is this for? What is this? It's an absolute nothing trailer. And again, there's a high probability that that game will never see the light of day, being the fact that they're already saying release time frame, at least earliest, is 2030. So yeah, I wouldn't be holding any hope for anything good to come from the current state of Star Wars games. Nobody wants a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, especially if they're, oh, we're going to make it for the modern audience, we're going to make it for the modern consoles and modern gameplay. Oh, modern gameplay, you all know what that means, don't you? That means you're going to be basically handheld all the way through. Oh, I can't figure out how to go here. Don't worry, your companion will tell you, hey, maybe you should try this thing over here. You know, where the great big yellow bloody arrow was pointing to. That's the type of crap they're talking about. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. So why don't you try and actually make a brand new game that no one's ever heard of, do something interesting, and more importantly, actually release it. That could help. That could be a great big help, is actually releasing these things. So it's only time will actually tell whether or not this game finally comes out, but they're getting sued over this crap, and this is where we're finding out this stuff. So it's interesting, but I wouldn't hold my breath on them actually releasing this game, which isn't a bad thing either. So what do you guys think? Would you actually be interested in them actually remaking Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2? Or are you happy for them to leave it alone? Do let me know. And with that, oh, by the way, do let me know if you're even interested in this Fate of the Old Republic. And do you think that was actually part of the Knights of the Old Republic remake that they just splintered off and made its own thing? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers. And I'll catch you in the next one.